Hey everybody, welcome to the show Board Game Reviews. This video is part of a series looking at the Too Many Bones game system. In this video in particular, we're going to start talking about some of the different Gearlocs you can get from the game, and we'll talk about Gasket because that's the one I pulled out here. But I'm going to talk about the Gearloc add-ons in general, add-on what they add on to the basic game, and talk about that a little bit and help you decide if that's something you want to do when you're looking at the Too Many Bones game system. Now again, this video is going to talk about the Gearloc add-ons themselves. If you want to see some sample gameplay, learn how to play the game, see a quick overview, or see my actual review of Too Many Bones, check out those other videos in the series. In this one, we're going to talk about some of the extra Gearlocs and talk about how they can add on to the variety and the replay of the game itself. Now, when you buy these extra Gearlocs, every one of these Gearlocs is going to come with their own dice, or going to come with their own mat, and their own little chip, and their own little thing that's going to tell you how to play the specific Gearloc. In this case, we got Gasket out, but every one of these Gearlocs is going to add some more variety and some more challenges, and they're going to evolve the gameplay quite a bit, because these Gearlocs are going to be much more advanced than the 4 Gearlocs that come in the very basic set of the game. Now, not all these Gearlocs are super advanced, not all of them are super complex. I would actually say that Gasket is one of the more complex ones out there. Not the only complex out there, but he's definitely one of the more complex ones, and that's why I actually pulled him out, because I think he's pretty cool with some of the things he does add to the game. Gasket is kind of like a cross between Stanza and probably, well, I don't want to ruin it too much for you, because some of the fun is discovering how these different Gearlocs add to the variety and how they play themselves. So let's have a look at Gasket himself. Gasket comes out, he is an extremely weak Gearloc when it comes to hit points. He starts the game with 1 health, he starts the game with 1 attack, he starts with 4 defense, and he starts with 4 dexterity. So basically, you need to be rolling defense right from the beginning, but the thing is, you need to understand with him, he doesn't really roll that great when it comes to initiative. He has a 3 and a 4 when it comes to his initiative die. So the chances of him winning initiative are very, very low. And when you only have 1 health, if you don't have any defense dice out there, it can be a little bit tough. So you do see that he's going to play very, very interesting, and he's actually going to be extremely challenging to play co-op. Now, it's not impossible, because, you know, we do get our first day, early days, and you can play the different difficulty levels of Adventurer, Hero, or Legendary, which can actually add a little bit of increased ability to survive, especially if you play Hero, because that's going to allow you to start with 3 health. But here's the interesting thing about Gasket himself. Now, Gasket is an interesting Gearloc because, okay, well, he's not really a Gearloc. He's a Steambot, but, you know, let's not argue about semantics here. But the way he's going to play is he uses 2 different kind of locking dice. Now, we've seen this mechanic before where if we roll red bones, we need to lock the red bones, but now he has a die that has a green bones, and what the green bones means, as soon as this locks, we need to use the backup plan in whatever position that green bone happens to be in. So if we happen to get a couple bones, and if we're all the way out to, let's get this up very, very quickly, because we know stalling on camera is never ever a good thing to do. Stalling on camera is actually what we like to refer to as a bad thing. But if we happen to have 3 bones, and if we roll this symbol right here and put this out here, we're going to use this level 4 Gearloc power, and we look at the back here, and we're going to see that as level 4 backup plan is we're going to use a reprogram. And then we'd have to use that, and all those are going to be removed. Now here's the trick. You're like, well, I just never roll that die. Well, here's the problem, or the challenge with Gasket himself. Every single round, you have to roll this die, and it's going to judge exactly, or kind of influence what you're going to do every single turn. And this die costs 1 of the points of dex that you have every single round. So while you start with 4 dex, you technically only have 3 dex worth of dice every single round. So it's not as powerful as it seems in the beginning, because you're going to roll this, and it's either going to come up with a bone, which means you're going to use your backup plan, or it's going to come up with a hydro symbol, which means you need to burn your hydro, which is the other interesting concept when it comes to Gasket. Gasket has a stack of hydro, and he needs to put up this hydro, and all of his actions are going to burn through this hydro. Once he's out of that hydro, he's going to start having a really heck of a tough time. So you need to make a combination of ideas of how you want to play this guy between burning your hydro, and the cool thing is as you burn the hydro, you can use more and more dice, but the more dice you use, the more you burn your hydro, and it's exponentially much more damaging, so you got to be very, very careful. So you'd be like, okay, I can have this really big turn, but if I don't win, I'm really going to be hurt here because I'm not going to be able to recover from this. So it creates a really cool mechanic on that aspect. But the interesting other thing about Gasket is if you don't want to burn hydro, you can go down this tree called, or that allows them to be automated. Now this is really interesting, because what you're going to do is these dice right here are going to allow you to automate, and you're going to roll them, and ooh, that was kind of nice bones. That was actually a good roll for a Gasket. But these dice are going to force you to do exactly what they roll, whether it makes you grab something, whether it makes you attack, or whatever makes you move. You have to do what those dice say, so it adds an interesting concept of how this guy works. So you have a guy who has a resource that you're trying to manage. You have a Gearloc who has a die that's going to control when you're going to use your backup plan, which is going to make it much more challenging to level up. And you're also going to have somebody who you can actually program his movement. And it's interesting how the programming works. You don't have to use all these in specific orders. You can kind of combo these and then use your other dice together, creating some really unique, interesting mechanics. So Gasket is a really interesting Gearloc, and he's one of many Gearlocs that come with the game. Now, if you're looking at too many bones and you yourself are trying to decide how you want to expand the game and add to the replay, add to the variety, and add to the changes in the way to make the game a lot more engaging and add the variety that you want to this game, Gearlocs are actually a great addition to the game. Now, if you watch my review video, I actually suggest that I think the first thing you should buy for the game is Undertow. Now, I like Undertow, and I'm a little biased, and because I've played all the system, I played the basic system and Undertow, and I think Undertow is a little bit more complex, but I like the complexity. I mean, I'm a guy who likes a game Mage Knight. I love more complex games. So I think that Undertow is actually the better entry into the system. It's got a lower price point. It adds a whole bunch of extra stuff into the game that you get by only buying multiple expansions. Yes, they're diminished inclusion, so it's a little bit of everything in the game. But if you buy Undertow, that means the Gearlocs that you can add on to the game are going to be a lot of variety for the game. They're going to add a lot of fun, a lot of creativity, and a lot of variety and a lot of strategy changes to the game. Force you to play differently, change up your strategies and change up your tactics. And the way you're going to make these parties is also going to influence you. Some of these Gearlocs work really well with each other, some of these Gearlocs not so well with each other, but again, that can add to the challenge and add to the variety and add to the replay of the game as you're going against these different Tyrants, possibly playing through the campaign, possibly playing through Undertow, possibly playing through the basic set. So, if you're looking at too many bones of system and you're looking at where to get started, I highly suggest starting with Undertow. Again, it's a little more complex, but I think what comes in the Undertow base set is your best bang for your buck. If you're looking for bang for your buck and variety. Now, the caveat to that is if you're trying to play with 3 or 4 players, it's not really a good place to start. And then I'm going to say just start with the basic game system for too many bones, and then go from there and get the Age of Tyranny expansion, which is going to allow a little bit of more variety of the setups and give you some different changes and different add-ons to the game. So once you go with too many bones, the basic set, you also want to start looking at Gearlocs. If you go with Undertow as your first set, you want to look at 1 or 2 Gearlocs, and then you want to look at getting the base set for the game to get the variety, get the extra different challenges, the different gameplay, and also work towards the Age of Tyranny, which is a campaign system that plays differently from the very base set. So basically what I'm saying here is the Gearloc add-ons add a lot of variety to the Too Many Bones game system. I can highly recommend them. I can suggest that if you like Too Many Bones, you definitely want to look into getting 1 or 2 of these. They're going to add a lot of creativity, a lot of variety, and a lot of good changes to the game. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this video series looking at Too Many Bones. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I'll be sure to get to them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me at offtheshelfboardgamereviews. That's otsbgr@gmail.com. Be sure to answer emails as quickly as I can. If you enjoy this video series, you enjoy this channel, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.